It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
KFI AM 640. It's later with Mo Kelly, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Happy Monday. Is there such a thing as Happy Monday? Or is that like an oxymoron?
It is an oxymoron. It does not exist. There is no Happy Monday.
Well, rainy days and Mondays always get me down, but not today, not today, not today. It's a pretty good Monday. You know, there's this video going around, this story about this guy caught in a Waymo. He was circling and missed his flight. Everyone's talking about it. I mean, everyone's talking about it. I heard Tim talking about it. The story's on NBC4 right now. But here's something you didn't know. He's a longtime friend of mine. Mike Johns. Known for about 30 years.
Are you serious?
I'm being very serious.
Wow.
He's at CES right now presenting. Right now. Couldn't work it out tonight because he's presenting at CES right now. He's one of the tech leaders in AI, as a matter of fact.
Has Tuwala condemned him yet?
No, not yet. But Tuwala's going to have to answer for this. We're going to talk about the story tonight, but Mike Johnson is going to join us on the show tomorrow night. We've been texting back and forth. He was going to come on, but because he has the whole CES thing that he's doing with the presentation during the show, he won't be available until after 10 o'clock tonight. I said, Mike, we're off the air at that point. So we'll talk about the story tonight, but just know this is the only show where you're actually going to hear from him and his story about Waymo and how Tuwala's on the take for Waymo. We now know firsthand Tuwala is on the take. And we knew that something like this was going to eventually happen. I'm not going to get too much in the story, but we knew this was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. But now it's happened to the wrong guy. Why? Because not only do I know the guy, not only is the guy high up in tech, he's going to be coming on KFI, the number one news talk station in America, and the number one stream station on iHeartRadio's app. And we'll talk about the 15 states with the worst drivers in America. According to studies, I wonder if California's on that list. Did you see the story about the manager who refused to let diners leave, or at least not before they tipped the wait staff? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine if someone got between you and the door saying you can't leave until you tip your waitress, waiter, or server? Mind you, you've already paid the bill. Contractually, that's your only obligation. We're going to talk about that this hour. And let me just say, here's the short rendition of this song. We would have a major misunderstanding if you do not allow me to leave your establishment before tipping. Now, I'm not someone who's saying that it's cool to not tip. I'm saying if I've made the choice to not tip, or to only tip a paltry amount, you better get your ass out of the way. Because otherwise, that's kidnapping. And I'm not going to be kidnapped. You're going to be kicked in the neck. I can promise you that. You're not going to hold me against my will. We'll get into that story. And speaking of stories, did you see that massive lawsuit story about Fox Sports 1? Woo! Skip Bayless, Joy Taylor, an executive for Fox Sports, sex, and more sex, and sexual promiscuity, married, and, promising him $1.5 million if one person would sleep with another. It's really bad. We're going to talk about that with Jackie Ray as we go beyond the box score. If there was ever a story which was great for beyond the box score, it's that. Sports and society, where they intersect, where they meet. If you haven't seen the story, I need you to Google it now and start reading it because it is so pithy. It is so convoluted. You may need a primer before we even start talking about it. Yeah, go ahead and Google Mark Rodder. Okay, you're going to look up Joy Taylor. You're going to look up Fox Sports 1. You're going to look up hairdresser, sexual misconduct, advances, unwanted advances, sleeping to get ahead. Oh, it's salacious.
Would it make Roger Ailes proud? Is he looking up at them from the afterlife and beaming with pride?
Well, as I understand, Fox Corporation is also part of the suit. It could be, well, it's going to be career defining, career ending, show ending, and reputation ruining before all is said and done. You have to look up the story because we're only going to spend 8 minutes on it at the top of next hour, but you got to see it. It is bonkers. Bonkers. And it also includes some very powerful people, some very attractive people. You can see how some things might have happened here or there. It's believable, but doesn't mean it's true. We'll get into that top of next hour. And did you hear about the United Airlines passenger who got banned from the airline after urinating on another passenger? Soaked, according to the story, soaked from his stomach down. That's another situation. If that happened to me, let's say I just happened to be asleep on an airplane, which I've been known to do, fall asleep, and this warm sensation starts trickling down my stomach.
And you're sure it's not you.
All I can say is everyone on that flight is in danger. If I wake up and I realize someone has urinated on me.
We don't give passenger 57 a golden shower.
Oh, no. Oh, no. If I'm going down, everyone's going down. That came out wrong. Of course, the weekend box office. We're going to listen back to some of the Golden Globe Awards. I thought the opening monologue was pretty damn funny. Pretty damn funny.
Have you seen the jokes that she cut?
No, but I could tell where she held back on some of them.
They're brutal. They're good.
Nikki Glaser was the host, and she did a fine job. It's rare where you think, okay, there's no point in having someone doing a hosting job or a monologue because it's never really funny. No, she was really, really funny. Working obviously off of some prepared jokes and also some jokes were extemporaneous off the top of her head. You can just tell with people in the room. And credit where credit is due. They were well written and also well delivered. So we'll definitely listen to that. And there were a couple of some poignant speeches, touching speeches, which almost like got me kind of choked up. Demi Moore, her speech was really touching and also insightful. How she was talking about her own insecurities and how she had, my word, given up on herself in many ways. It was interesting what she had to say, and that seemed relatively unrehearsed as well. There's so much to discuss tonight on Later with Mo Kelly. When we come back, we're going to get into that Waymo rider who was stuck circling LAX. Personal friend of mine and also a fellow fraternity brother of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. That's how I know him. Known him for 30 years. We're going to get into that next.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Next.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
By now, you've probably seen the story. You probably heard the story about the Los Angeles man trapped circling in a Waymo on the way to the airport. Now, there have been conflicting reports about whether he actually missed his flight home to Los Angeles. But tomorrow, we're going to clear all that up as the person involved is an LA tech entrepreneur, Mike Johns. And he posted this video a few weeks ago on LinkedIn, and all of a sudden, everyone seemed to discover it in the past 2 days. You know, here on Later with Mo Kelly, we have been discussing Waymo for quite some time. And to Wallace Sharp, you have been in the pocket of Waymo accepting undisclosed funds because you are always super defensive around Waymo, trying to protect them and their brand.
I am protecting the future of technology. Like Mike Johns himself, I consider myself a futurist. Maybe not someone of his pedigree, someone who is way, way up there, but I see the future as he does. He got into the Waymo. Why? Because he trusted it. Now, the Waymo was circling LAX allegedly, and that's what made him lose his flight.
It was in a parking lot.
Hey, okay. He was not in any danger. It was just a frustrating day.
Look at you.
It was a frustrating day.
Okay.
How many times have you been late to LAX to miss a flight?
Never, but that's just me. I always leave like 2-3 hours early.
Okay.
But Mike Johns, let me just give you some context. The person who was in this car, he's not just some passenger like you or me. He is a tech CEO in his own right. He understands this landscape. He's a CES Innovation Awards judge last year, 2024 FCC Communications Equity and Diversity Council meeting advisory board member, created AI advisory board framework for the city of Los Angeles, created AI advisory board framework for Southern Nevada, UNLV instructor of future literacy, founder of We Are Digital 501c3 nonprofit. And he's been my friend for 30 years. I think most importantly, okay? Now we're going to get to the audio of actually what happened, and he will give his description of what happened, and we'll hear from him tomorrow, first person, and he is going to take you to task on all your blasphemy.
Okay.
That's right. And understand this happened to a tech guy. He loves the idea of driverless cars and was really excited to ride in one. We've been seeing them all over tonight here in Santa Monica. But now he says he won't take one again until he knows they have worked the kinks out.
Okay, why is this happening to me on a Monday?
Mike Johns started rolling as the Waymo he was in started going round and round last week, and he started going in circles with customer service.
Why is this thing going in a circle? I'm getting dizzy.
He says it was spinning like a teacup at Disney World in a Scottsdale parking lot with him trapped inside and unable to stop it.
It's circling around a parking lot. I got my seatbelt on. I can't get out the car. Has this been hacked? What's going on? I feel like I'm in the movies.
In a video that's now gone viral, he says the Waymo turned like a top at least 5 times before customer service was able to get it under control and headed to the airport where Johns caught a flight back to LA. All the while, someone or something talking to him and failing to ease his concerns.
I don't have an option to control the car. I'm really so sorry about this.
Well, can you stop this car?
I am trying to pull it over right now. Apologies.
Where's the empathy? Where's the human connection to this? It's just, again, a case of today's digital world, half-baked product, and nobody meeting the customer, the consumers in the middle.
He's still not certain he was communicating with a real person or AI, and says he has real concerns about the service he'd like to share with Waymo.
Wait a minute. He knows a little something about this subject matter, okay? If he's concerned as a tech CEO, then damn it, we should be concerned. How dare you, Twala, put us in these dangerous things?
Look, I'm seeing a slight hint of much ado about nothing. He says he circled 5 times. It wasn't 11 times till the point he was dizzy and throwing up. And the poor AI generated voice that was trying to help him and get him out of this. Where was his empathy for the AI? Where was his empathy?
He has real concerns about the service he'd like to share with Waymo, but he says no one has reached out to him, even after his video has been viewed by more than 2 million people. Johns works in tech, and he wants to see this succeed and thinks it will. Maybe just not yet. It's called driverless, but to him, at this point, there's a better word for it.
Humanless. Humanless, right? Humanless. That's that ghost in the shell, right?
So we'll hear from him tomorrow on the show, and we expect him to get Twala Sharp straight.
I'm excited to hear what it was like to be in a real-life Twilight Zone episode. Tech guy gets his comeuppance with tech.
What? All I know is Twala Sharp has better get his apology ready for not only Michael, but for me and for you and the KFI listening public, where he tried to deceive all of us, saying that it's safe, it's better than a human driver. I don't know how many human drivers who are not under the influence of something do circles unless they're trying to do like a street takeover.
Look, unfortunately, this story does not mete out all of the details. And I think things that need to be highlighted. He's excited about the product. He thinks the product will work. He got into the Waymo, and this was, from my understanding, this was in Arizona, where they had still been having kinks in Arizona.
It's the same damn product. You're saying, like, if they got E. coli at McDonald's in Arizona, I shouldn't worry about E. coli in LA?
That's not fair. That's not a fair comparison. What I'm saying is the Waymos in LA have never spun around a parking lot. They've never spun around a parking lot.
Okay, that's like saying the Boeing plane hasn't fallen out of the sky at this airport.
Oh, no, because then if we're trying to compare Boeing airplanes falling to cars circling, that's not a fair comparison.
That's right.
This is Waymo blasphemy. We need to have a Waymo representative on the phone to counter some of these points.
You're sitting right there. We don't need one.
Look, you get Waymo to come on the show. I'm getting Mike Johns to come on the show tomorrow. Okay.
Well, Waymo's busy.
Well, you got to make excuses for them in advance. You got pre-excuse. You got a pre-buttal. You got a pre-reason. Can't believe you.
It's like the Sarah Huckabee Sanders of Waymo sitting there.
You son of a...
Now. Let's not take it out on Tuwala too much. He picked the wrong side in this. He was of the opinion that Waymo was a safe company, that it was ready for prime time, that people were ready to take the next step. Now, what people may not know, if you're just tuning into us for the first time, I was getting ready to use a Waymo. We had talked about me getting a Waymo. We would probably broadcast it.
Yes.
We'd let you host a show. I'd run down, get in a Waymo, and I would call you, and we could narrate what was happening in the Waymo. I'm not putting my black ass in one of those things now.
No, that's still I promise you this.
Black ass in Waymo.
Mike Johns will come on tomorrow, and he will say, you know what, Mo?
Not a culo negro. Not a culo negro.
It was fine. That little fracas in the parking lot, that has put me off, and it lets me know that Waymo needs to step up its human interaction and be able to solve these issues expeditiously and not have any customer go through this again. And that's fine. That's fine. It's a new technology.
Would you like some Thousand Island with that word salad of yours?
I can't believe this.
Thank you very much. 2 shows nightly. When we come back, the 15 states with the worst drivers in America, according to studies. No clue as to whether Waymo is on this list in one of those states or 2 of those states, probably California. Is California on this list? Twala, you gave me the story. I haven't seen it yet. Is California on the list?
Yeah, California's on the list.
All right, so we're one of the 15 states with the worst drivers. That's next. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Now, let's get to this list. The 15 states with the worst drivers in the country. In the country. Who did this study? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Coming in at number 15. Number 15, the worst drivers. New Mexico. I've been in New Mexico. They're not that bad. Not that bad. Number 14. Montana. Now, according to this, driving in Montana might seem straightforward, but the state's open roads hide significant risks. Speeding is a common issue, with many drivers treating the state's highways as racetracks. Drunk driving incidents are alarmingly frequent, and seatbelt use is among the lowest in the country. Number 13. You know I'm going to sing it, right? Oh, Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plain and the waving wheat. Nothing? Absolutely nothing? No applause.
No, that was good.
No cheers. Thank you. That's much better. Thank you.
It is canned.
I'll take it. If we had a live in studio audience, it'd be different.
That was hateration.
Sure would.
That was hateration, Mark.
Oklahoma drunk driving incidents are a major concern in the state, contributing to a significant number of fatal accidents each year. Phone use also remains a problem despite efforts to enforce stricter laws. It's also worth noting that getting around in Oklahoma can be tricky, especially on rural roads, where maintenance is often lacking and drivers often ignore posted speed limits and put others at risk. Coming in at number 12 of the worst drivers in the country. Nevada, not to be confused with Nevada. If you ever say Nevada to someone from Nevada, they will get angry at you. It's Nevada, not Nevada. Nevada. Road safety in Nevada takes a hit due to the mix of local drivers and out-of-state tourists. Las Vegas sees a particularly high number of accidents, often caused by distracted drivers unfamiliar with the area. Speeding is another major concern, especially on highways leading out of the city where drivers push their limits, like me. The fastest I've ever driven was on a trip from LA to Las Vegas. I think we talked about this. The fastest I've ever driven is about 130. Had a Honda S2000. And yes.
Those go 130?
Yes. Well, yeah, if you do it for like maybe, I was driving for like close to a minute to get it up there. Yeah, it was about 130.
Yeah, it'll get you there. That was one of my dream cars.
Yeah.
Love that car.
Mark, what's the fastest you've driven?
In that territory, but no longer.
No.
I believe in the law now.
No, I was much younger and much dumber back then. I wouldn't do that now.
Yeah, I used to. I lived near a golf course with a big hill when I was young in Spokane, and I would try and get my grandparents' car up to 100 going down the hill, and then just shriek around the corner.
Yeah, the stupid stuff that we used to do.
Yeah, we were lucky to be alive.
Oh, no. Mine was skill. Maybe it was luck for you. I was a fantastic driver.
If you say so.
Yes, I do say so.
Were you as good a driver as you are a singer?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
Well, everybody out of the way.
Kiss today goodbye.
Kiss something goodbye.
And point me toward tomorrow. Wish me luck the same to you.
My God, he won't stop.
Number 11. Kentucky. Kentucky has a lot of winding rural roads, so speeding and drunk driving are significant issues, with many accidents occurring in areas where visibility is limited. The state's traffic fatality rate is one of the highest in the region, reflecting a combination of dangerous driving habits and challenging road conditions. Public safety initiatives have tried to raise awareness, but many drivers continue to engage in behaviors that put themselves and others at risk. That sounds about right. I've never been to Kentucky. You know what? I never plan to go to Kentucky.
There's no reason for you to.
That's all I need to know. Number 10. Arkansas. In Arkansas, nearly half of all fatal crashes occur on rural roads where narrow lanes and a lack of proper safety features create dangerous conditions. Speeding on those roads only makes the problem worse. And of course, the state's seatbelt usage is below the national average, resulting in more severe injuries when accidents happen. Combined, these factors contribute to Arkansas's troubling road safety statistics. Number 9. Can I sing it?
Nobody can stop you, but.
Georgia.
Okay.
Georgia. Such a hater. Despite recent efforts to improve road safety laws in Georgia, many of these issues remains deeply ingrained in the state's driving culture. Georgia's roads can also be difficult to navigate, especially in the busy metro areas. Also, Atlanta, notorious traffic jams often bring out aggressive driving behaviors, from tailgating to weaving through lanes without signaling. Sounds like California. Number 8. Can I sing it?
What are the FCC rules on that, Foosh?
Sweet home Alabama. Fumble line. Fumble Rooski. Chief Jackson. Football. Traffic fatalities in Alabama are alarmingly high, particularly in rural areas. There's something about rural areas. People just can't drive.
I was going to say the lesson here is don't go to drive on rural areas.
Don't drive in the South. Well, there where law enforcement is limited, speeding and drunk driving are common. I'm sorry, it's not funny, but it's funny.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah, with reckless behavior contributing to the state's poor safety record. As in other states, many drivers also engage in distracted driving, often using their phones while on the road. That's number 8 of the worst states for driving in the country. And number 7. Any guesses? Probably down south, probably rural. State we haven't listed.
I'm starting to detect maybe a correlation with educational rankings.
Oh, damn. Why you got to go personal?
Because I'm looking it up right now.
Louisiana. Traffic in the state often feels unpredictable and risky with a mix of challenges making the roads dangerous. Drunk driving incidents. Okay, so let's just get it out there. Okay, if you're in the South, there's probably drunk driving. There's probably distracted driving. There's probably rural. It's probably just all bad. Just don't drive in the South. It's safer. Number 6. South Carolina. Faces an uphill battle when it comes to road safety. The state has one of the highest fatality rates in the country, with speeding and alcohol use among the top contributing factors. Sounds like a story we've heard before. Number 5. Florida. Can we at least get out of that time zone?
We can't.
Taking a drive in Florida often feels like navigating an obstacle course. Studies consistently highlight high rates of bad driving, particularly in tourist-heavy cities like Orlando and Miami. Aggressive behavior, speeding, road rage. Number 4 of the worst states of drivers in the country. Missouri. Nearly 1 in 5 traffic fatalities in Missouri involve speeding, highlighting the widespread danger on the state's roads. Aggressive behaviors like tailgating, excessive speeding, especially common in St. Louis and Kansas City. And the rural regions are really bad.
The rural regions.
Of course. Number 3. California, here I come, right back where we started from. Open up those golden gates to California, 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 here I come.
How many people do you think you just caused to swerve off the road by doing that?
Hopefully not too many, but it wouldn't be unforeseen because California, LA, and San Francisco are notorious for gridlock, where drivers frequently engage in risky behaviors like weaving through traffic or speeding during brief openings.
Or giving runners.
What's a runner?
There's no need for that.
Phone use remains one of the leading causes of accidents in the state on highways like the 101 or the 5. Reckless lane changes and tailgating are all too common, adding to the stress of commuting. Coming in number 3. Deep in the heart of Texas. Texas, number 3. Navigating the roads in Texas can be a challenge for even the most experienced drivers. Fatal crashes are a frequent occurrence, especially in bustling cities like Houston, Dallas, and Austin. Distracted driving, phone use, major concerns. Major concerns. Texas was number 2. Any guesses for number 1? Anyone?
New York.
Stephen, guess?
Did you say Washington already?
No, not the state of Washington, no.
Washington.
Okay, Mark Ronner?
What southern state haven't we mentioned yet?
You think we're going down south again?
Yeah,
huh?
it's got to be someplace in the south.
Okay, here we go. Number 1, the state with the worst drivers in America, according to some study. Okay, Stefan, there's no song for this, but you can spell it. M-I, crooked letter, I. Crooked letter, I. Humpback, I. Mississippi.
Back to the South.
Yep.
All right, what do I win?
Nothing, absolutely nothing. You win nothing.
Just a full set of teeth.
No, you but you were correct. We did go back down south, and yes, that's how I learned how to spell Mississippi.
Well done.
Still can't spell Massachusetts, but I can spell Mississippi.
You got to write out Massachusetts.
Okay.
That's the secret.
Stefan, pull it up on the computer. Mark, you want to try one more time to spell
No, I really
Massachusetts?
don't.
Come on now, you're the newsman. We got to go to break.
We don't have time for this. Look at the time.
I'll give you the first letter.
M-A-S-S-A-C-H-U-S-E-T-T-S.
Did he get it right? Okay, because I couldn't help him out. I'm spell checking like a mug.
No, you got to write it out. You can't do it in your head. There's too many letters. It's like the King and Amadeus. Too many notes. It's got too many notes.
You're lucky we're up against a break. It's Later with Mo Kelly. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And when we come back, we're going to tell you about a manager who refused to let diners leave unless they tipped the wait staff.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
I wish a mother father would.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Later with Mo Kelly on KFI AM 640.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Mind you, we've talked any number of times about tipping, and I have evolved on the subject. I can honestly say I have evolved. I would say pre-pandemic, I was never one to give a tip for a to-go order. That's just like, wait a minute, are you doing this handing me my food? I was one who would never give a tip at the counter of fast food, even though they have this jar out there like Subway and certain other places. Why would you get a tip for just doing your job? I was brought up to think that a tip was going over and above. Now, we can have this convoluted discussion like, well, they're not paid a living wage, or you should help them out because they don't make anything but minimum wage, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. I'm just talking about the principle of tipping. The tipping was supposed to be over and above. Like even in a restaurant situation, you can tell when someone is going over and above. They are very attentive. They are tending to your needs. If you need water, you need your check, need your dessert, whatever, they're going over and above. Have no problem tipping, and I am a generous tipper. I'm usually around the 20% range. Post-pandemic, I just tip everywhere, just because. I'm really offended. I'm usually going to an eatery, let's say at Delamo Mall in Torrance. And there's this place I love getting food. I'm not going to call them out. But, you make your order, and then they turn around that screen and says, well, the screen has 2 questions for you. Well, yes, I know you don't want to say, are you going to give us a tip or not? But it's basically shaming us to give a tip.
While they stare at you.
While they stare. And yes, they're going to judge you. And it's before you get your food. And it's kind of an unspoken agreement that if you don't tip, you have to worry about something happening to your food. That's the way I look at it. So I go ahead and tip. And I don't want to end up on anyone's shows like, Mo Kelly, he's a horrible tipper. Okay, so I know someone's waiting for me just so they can say that. And I'm not going to give anyone the chance to say that. With all that as a precursor, I came across this story where a manager at a restaurant refused to let a party leave without tipping their waitress. And there's video of it, but there's so much background noise, it doesn't make sense to play the video. But the story goes like this. A manager was filmed refusing to let an entire table leave unless they tip their server. I understand when you go into, let's say, a place like Denny's, you have a party of 8. That's very cumbersome. That's very difficult for the server to handle. It's usually that server has to go above and beyond. I think it would be unconscionable not to tip, okay, because you're asking more of that person than they're supposed to do for that job. The whole idea of separate checks and everything, some people still do it. And it's a pain in the ass for the server. I'm with you on that. But just because you're an a-hole as a customer does not mean that you are obligated by law to give someone a tip. And if you, the manager, stand between me and the door and say that I cannot leave until I tip the waitress, and if I've decided for whatever reasons that person is unworthy because it's my discretion. Yes, it's a value system. If I decide that person is unworthy of my tip and you're standing between me and the door, I can promise you we are going to have a misunderstanding and I'm going to win by law. The contract is you provide food, I pay you for that food. I'm not obligated to tip over and above. Should a person tip? Absolutely in that situation. Absolutely. But I'm not required by law, and you're not going to hold me hostage. If you get between me and the door, I'm going to look at Mark Rodder. I'm going to say, Mark, go get him.
I'm not sure whose side to take on this. I'm not sure it's yours.
You're saying that you're going to side with the manager on this?
I can tell you that as a bartender, I stood on the other side of the bar from a guy who waits for me to hand him the quarter change for his Miller Lite while he complains, it don't cost this much at the grocery store. Well, then, thank you and go to hell, sir.
All right, but you got to leave the restaurant to go to hell. And my point is, if in that scenario, if I've paid for the beverage, the tip, even though would be the polite thing to do, is not a requirement. It is, if it's a requirement, it should be on the menu, it should be on the bill, and I should pay the amount on the bill.
Well, maybe we can meet in the middle here and agree on this. I wouldn't want to hold you in the restaurant. I would want to tell you not to come back to the restaurant.
Completely fair. I would think you're wrong in principle because it's not a tip then. It's not like I'm disrespecting your wait staff. I mean, either it's a tip or it's not a tip. A tip is at my discretion. If it's not at my discretion, then it's no longer a tip. And are you saying it's got to be 10%? It's got to be 15%? When do I get to go back to my car?
Well, we have a social contract that you're violating. You can get all technical all you want. You can lawyer this to kingdom come. But if you go to a restaurant and you're served and you leave nothing, that is a shameful thing to do.
I agree. We don't disagree. But in this particular scenario, the manager is physically imposing himself.
Is he putting his hands on you? What's he doing?
Well, he's standing between the door and the customers. He's not allowing the customers to leave. They've paid the bill. He's saying that they have to also pay the waitress a tip.
You don't think that's brave and chivalrous of him?
I think it's dumb, and if he gets his ass kicked, he deserved it, and he will lose in a court of law.
Incitement. Listen to this incitement, Foosh.
You know good and well, Mark, that he has no legal right to prevent me from leaving the restaurant, especially if I paid my bill.
Do I need to go down the list of things in U.S. history that were legal but immoral?
You can call it immoral, but he doesn't have a legal leg to stand on. I'm just talking about between now and the ass whooping. There's no reason, no legal leg that he has to stand on.
And that is dangerous because if he crosses the wrong person, aka a Mo type or someone who's armed, it's game over for him.
He loses in court every single time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But every single time. Let's be realistic here. How bad would the service have had to be for the waitress to receive 0 tip?
Well, that's neither here nor there. It's up to the discretion of the individual.
Context is everything. Context is very important.
No, look, I'm allowed to be an a-hole in this hypothetical. I am not legally required to give anyone a tip. I am legally required to pay for the food that I've ordered. But I'm not legally required to give a tip. That's why restaurants are trying to play this funny game where they're making it as part of the fees, which are included on the bill.
Yeah, we had one of those over the weekend, and that opens a whole nother thing. The surcharge.
Right, the surcharge, and that's been debated in law and everything because they want to make it where you're then obligated to pay what is on the bill. The tip is not on the bill and is at the discretion of the person who's paying for the meal. And if I pay for the meal, bye.
And would that fall under the junk fees that they're getting rid of?
Well, it's not stated in this scenario. It's a tip. It's not like listed on the bill. You have to pay the waitress because this was supposed to go directly to the waitress. It's not going to the restaurant. So the manager was saying you have to pay this to the waitress. F y'all. I'm leaving.
Well, I've got a tip for you, Mo.
What's that?
Be a little nicer to your waitresses and you won't get as many specials.
But I made it very clear. I wouldn't do it. I'm going to tip anyhow. But if it comes down to it and someone's saying you can't leave the restaurant unless you tip, well, I'm calling the police and I will win. It's Later with Mo Kelly. KFI AM640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
Whether you love us, hate us, or haven't made up your mind, we're glad you're here.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.